Okay, so I chose assignment number 2, and the first question is, tell me about George Floyd and what happened on May the 25th. Okay, so George Floyd was a 46-year-old African-American man. He was born in North Carolina, but moved to Minneapolis later on to find work. He was a father to a 6-year-old girl, and according to his friends, he was caring by nature. Okay, so George's life ended the 25th of May during an arrest for allegedly using a counterfeit bill. And unfortunately, he became a victim of brutal police violence. White police officer Derek knelt on George's face for almost 9 minutes. Handcuffed and with his face held down against the street, he was begging for his life. In footage of the arrest, George can be heard saying that he couldn't breathe several times before he's seen being lifted into an ambulance, where he unfortunately died shortly after. What is the movement Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter Foundation is a global human rights organization that campaigns against violence and systemic racism towards Black people. The society is combating and countering acts of violence, creating space for Black imagination and environment, and centering Black joy. Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013 and is on its peak now, especially after George's death, where millions of people around the world were gathered to protest against police violence and racism. All that and posts with Black Lives Matter hashtags are all over the social medias. Perhaps you have seen photos of police officers and famous sports and film stars on their knees. What does it mean to bend on the knee? Demonstrators all over the world are taking a knee and asking the police to do the same. The justice with that is to take the knee over the death of George. There was even a bend a knee protest in the US for everyone who wanted to support both George and Black Lives Matter, but at the same time wanted to keep the social distance, and they could bend a knee 6 p.m. On their doorsteps. Why do you think that racism is an ongoing issue in the US? Okay, so I think that the main problem is the old-fashioned way that many of the white American people both see and think about African Americans and people with another ethnicity in general. I truly think and hope that both this and the next generations have learned something from all of this, and that they will speak up and just speak up and stand up for racism in the future. I also think that Donald Trump is a problem in this case. I mean, we've all heard his speech and how he made fun of George's death. I was seriously in shock when I heard it. And I don't get how anyone, and especially the president with that influence like that, can disrespect someone's life of his own citizens like that. He ignores the whole problem and mistakes, and no shit that people aren't taken seriously when the president himself doesn't. The protest against police violence towards Black people has gone viral and global. Why is that? And is it relevant to you? Okay, so people began to speak up and open their eyes of what's okay and what's not, which led to protest after protest worldwide. So I'm a fan of the idea of showing what we are unsatisfied with in acts of protesting. It is relevant to me in many ways. First of all, I find it extremely unfair and disgusting how people get treated different based on skin color, sexuality, or religion, and the fact that some people even got the rights to do it is just insane if you ask me. The police is a perfect example. Look at how much they got away with that, even though people like tell them to stop and all that, they just, yeah, they did stop, but it was too late. So yeah, I just think it's insane. Yeah. And I also like know myself the feeling when someone looks at you and think, oh, you're this and you're that because of your look, or based on like religion or something. But the second like you speak, they realize, wow, she's just the same as me, or he is just the same as me. And it shouldn't be like that. Like, you shouldn't have to prove yourself to anybody. So that's another reason why it's so important to me and why it's relevant to me. Yeah, that was all I had. Thank you.